of his like terminal, all of his SSH and everything configured, but he hasn't installed an editor on his computer yet. If you didn't realize where we are now, it's here.
In my defense, I do have one. It's Cursor, but I have Cursor set up for like Glass. I've been just using their.
So what is it? You can read code in Cursor?
What?
That's not a code editor. That's a code generator.
Yeah, but that's what Cursor's turned into. So now I have VS Code as my code editor, and I don't have either of the bash scripts bound for this. What is even the thing you're supposed to run for that?
Open your terminal, Ben.
Yeah, I'm in my terminal right now.
Type in ls space.
Yeah, you're very smart. Give me 1 second. Where do they store them in .clod? It's skills.
.clod / skills.
Oh, I've got them. All right, how many skills do you have?
5.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So first one, this is like my HTML markdown generator skill. That should be in here. My network skill, which is just telling my agent how my home network and all my tail scaled in devices work for my Linux boxes. We'll talk about that in a future episode. That's gonna be really fun. Stuff on how to use Effect v4, that should be in there. I have 2 for like workflows effectively on how I want new features to be implemented, because a pattern I do a lot is I'm like, okay, I have this project, I need to make this change or whatever. And there's a pretty repeatable workflow I have at this point of here's the thing I want to be done. Here's the branch I want you to make the work tree off of. First, you spin up a planning subagent, then you spin off an implementing subagent, then you spin off a review subagent while you are going up and waiting for the PR review bots to do their thing, bring all those changes together, make sure it's working, get the PR to go green, then tell me about it. Like, I have written that prompt 15 times. I just got to the point where I'm like, man, this should just be a skill. So I just can just do / PR review, or sorry, / monorepo feature fan out or whatever, and then it'll just.
I think there's a babysit skill built into enough things now, and if I tell any agent to babysit the PR and it's fine.
They do, but this is for starting a new. Like, I start from a new section on. I'm like, okay, I need to add this feature to pick. This is the feature. Then it does it. The exact feature used. And that one has been really useful. The rest are just nonsense. Like, I have a video skill files going around with cutting out videos. Should not be in the scope directory. It should have been scoped. And that's basically it.
Agent though.
Well over 100. I've got it a lot. Like, I've got it 50 out of a certain amount.
I don't even know how many I have in my now. Yeah, my skills, I should only have 3, but I like my generative like coding skills on 3 separate ones. I don't care enough to deal with it. I'll use them in the near future until 6 drops, but for now, it's really useful for having it there. The railway skill stuff in there when I install the railway skill. I'm surprised how much I can get done through convincing me to fix the remaining pieces. And then I have the HTML planning skill because Thor was right.
I have one as well. I think we both put together our own version of this, where we have
Mine's simpler and better, fancier and cooler.
It's more opinionated just because I don't like the way most models write pages and they're not very readable, so I wanted to provide style paragraphs that generally structured, give it some little building blocks to work with, so it's more input every single time. Better.
He's covering his steak and salty ketchup. Like, you also use models that are hardcore to understand. Sonnet 5.
Sonnet 5 is better than you're giving it credit for.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I gave it a lot more credit than most, but it still tastes like hardcore.
Yeah, am I using it right now? No, but like, it is better than most people are giving it. Like, my defense of Sonnet 5 is not that it is CGI, it's the thing we have to use. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Alright, back on topic. What's the title we're supposed to be talking about?
We were talking about AI and pivoted skill.
That was useful.
I hope so. That the show was good, so hopefully you guys enjoy these too. Yep. On the topic of models that taste like cardboard, we have Alibaba and Anthropic getting into beef because, in case you didn't know, Alibaba makes models, and they are the Alibaba flavored versions of other companies' models. That's just kind of what they do. They distill on a lot of stuff. To their credit, getting the data Anthropic has is a lot harder now because both Anthropic and OpenAI scrape the entirety of the web, and now everything's locked down. The best way to get that data that they scrape is to ask the models for it, which Alibaba did to the tune of allegedly across 25,000 fraudulent accounts. I'm assuming this one was Alibaba buying a bunch of accounts from all sorts of sources, whether it's people overseas or like stolen credit cards or whatnot. It might not even have been Alibaba doing this, by the way. It might have been a third party that did this and free to sell the data to Alibaba. And usually the way of getting the data is to offer cheaper subs to people in various places. So like if you're in China and you want to use Quad Code with the subsidized usage, you can't get an account signed up there. But if this random sketchy service offers you a $2 a month account for $50, if you use it, it only catches all of the data that being taken up with all the back and forth is going to a forwarder that makes its way over to, I don't know, Alibaba. All of a sudden, they get a bunch of data, you get a discount, and for Profit Losers, they don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen these things, but I've seen some really wild screenshots of it's literally Alibaba Open Router, where it looks like Open Router and you can just pick from the models that are massively discounted. Aggregators who are a bunch of sketchy stuff behind the scenes. Subs. I think that's why there was a post recently something has embedded hidden spyware-like code in Quad Code that covertly targets Chinese users. It then sends information regarding every user by injecting it into their prompt message. And it shows this section where it is basically just checking if you're in Shanghai, or Asia, or all these different things to try and get some way to check whether you're doing this. Because these behaviors are very hard to track. Doric responded to this and said, "Hi, this is an experiment we launched in March that was meant to prevent account abuse from all unauthorized resellers and protect against distillation. The team has landed stronger than anyone since then, and we've actually been meaning to take this down for a while. We merged PR, and this should be pretty well. So they're walking it back, but also they're almost at the API level to try and classify this stuff.
You do know that our little sloth proxy is going to get hit with this in the near future, probably, right?
I was thinking a lot about that in the way I'm setting it up. I am only ever using it through my instances, and is only ever going through my local network, which is very clearly in it's not going through these channels.
For context, for those who have not kept up with today's video, both Ben and I are juggling accounts because we want to maximize how much Fable we can get for a short window where it's including the sub, but also in the future when it's more included. And there's a really cool open source project, the Vibe Proxy, that lets you switch over to API style Quad Code, and it routes to this Vibe Proxy of somewhere on your network or tailscale that will reroute auto balance and load balance between different accounts on Quad or on Codex. I cannot use the Codex because it breaks the Codex and stuff up in so many ways. But in Quad, there is no function UI, so you just use the terminal version. So it's fine, and it works great over T3 code. So I'm really happy. That said, it's using the API style when you go from Quad Code to Vibe Proxy instead of the traditional OAuth style you get with Quad Code. The endpoint it's hitting in the end is still the OAuth endpoint that you are requesting from when you do Quad Code, because Quad Code doesn't hit the normal inference endpoint from Anthropic, and it's a special one just for Quad Code. You know how easy it is for them to add any form of signature that's auto-rolling and generating inside of Quad Code directly, that is like attached to the session, your timestamps, and all these other things, and have that as a required salt that has to be part of the request for it to honor it?
Yeah.
You know that gets turned off immediately when you switch to API mode.
Yeah.
You know that what we're using right now is going to be killed in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, well,
thanks, Alibaba.
To be fair, this has been around for quite a while, but yeah, they're just going to keep cracking down on this stuff. It started back with like the open code ban way back when. They just do not want people using their Claude subs in anything other than Claude Code. And to be clear, that's what we're using this for. I am not using this to put the inference in any other provider or any other harness. You could, but you shouldn't, because you are heavily risking getting banned there. I'm sure they're very trigger happy with that. I'm hoping that this is okay for this instance. I'm probably going to turn it off after this because I don't really need it post Fable. I'm just going to go back to one stuff. Who cares? For now, it's useful though.
I might go back to 0 at this point because I don't really care enough about the other models you get through the Claude Code stuff. I just care about Fable, and when Fable's gone, like, I'm not gonna stop using Opus. I'm just gonna move guy prices for Fable.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Yeah. Opus is not interesting enough to be paying a $200 myself.
Hell no. Maybe Opus 5 will be interesting, but again,
Opus 5 might actually be a pretty useful model.
I think so. I hope it strikes a good middle ground in between Mythos and Sonnet, where like Sonnet has the cool workflow capabilities of Mythos without any of the intelligence or discernment or capability. So like it's not actually all that useful. Real what is possible with the model. I would love to see those Mythos workflow capabilities and general discernment be great. even if it's a little bit stupid. Will be. That might be awesome.
I'm just gonna wait till they have Fable back in the sub. It's gonna happen soon. Usually you haven't seen my video yet, but I framed all of this. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next part later on. Because right now we need to take a quick break for today's sponsor.
The one I've been talking about loops a lot more lately, and I want to use this ad for Postlog as an example. They're an all-in-one suite of product tools for product analytics and session replays and a ton of other stuff. I don't have time to list here. But recently they've been focusing a lot on making your products more self-driving. And this self-improving loop here is an incredible example of what loops actually are and why they're useful. The way this kind of works is you start with signal files, which would be all of the data that Postlog already has about your group. And they take those signals, they group them into reports, and then once you have those reports, Postlog's agent will go through and open up a PR to your actual project in the onboarding, making a fix based on the signal like that. Just in your onboarding flow, there's a specific section where users just keep turning on over and over and over. And the agent will go through and find what it believes to be the underlying root cause of this. It'll make a PR for this, review it, merge it. Then Postlog from there will measure the results of that change and see how it impacts things, and loop back over to get new signals and run this loop over and over and over again. It's an automatic process that runs in the background that just makes your product better. And Postlog is just uniquely situated to do this. They already have all the information they need to make these good signals. They're also insanely cheap. Their pricing is absurd. It's the only company I've ever seen do crazy increases repeatedly. And they're also the company with my favorite MCP server. If you haven't tried the Postlog MCP, you really should. It has everything you need to build these self-driving loops on your own if you don't want a built-in solution. It's an incredible system that will make your product much better at nerdstype.link/Postlog.
And we got one last piece of news before we're allowed to just nerd out about Fable for the rest of the video.
OpenAI is proposing giving the Trump administration a 5% stake in their company.
If you're not Sam Altman, you can skip this section, but yeah, this one's for you, Sam. I just want to personally think you're doing the thing nobody else had the balls to do. Kissing Trump's ass aggressively in the public for everyone to see. It is a shame that we live in a world where this is necessary, but we do. And if we want to continue having access to the best models in the world, then we need to fight to stay the best country in the world. In order to do that, this well-intended president, from destroying our entire economy with his ill-led goals of trying to get every single company to love him. You don't have to love him. He just needs to feel loved. And I'm very thankful for you for being the one person who is willing to make him feel loved like this other than Tim Cook. The two of you are the only reason our economy hasn't collapsed yet, and for that I am genuinely thankful. Everyone else, you can come back now. Sorry, we had a personal message.
Where you going? I hate that message is for I really hate that.
Just listen, just yeah, giving the go at 5% of one of the fastest growing companies of all time is the most performative bullshit I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen a lot of performative bullshit. I live in San Francisco. Anyone who's like bad about rainbow profile pictures in the month of June should be outraged.
What is your over-under on this actually happening?
60-40 happening.
Really?
I'm leaning yes.
What is your take on this? I'm very curious. How would this actually work? What would the government actually get out of it?
Whatever the fuck they do with Intel.
Yeah, I guess fair. I forgot that they did that with Intel, yeah.
Yeah, it's 10% with Intel.
Jesus.
Yep. They own 10% of the fourth most successful chip company. What a world we live in. Pentium inside.
Yeah, I guess.
Pentium inside, pennies outside.
I don't know. I do not like the idea of handing over private companies any percentage to the government, but in this bizarre, shitty situation, the frontier models are getting restricted because of very, very stupid government overreach. We are now dealing with the fact that in order for these things to be released to the public in any reasonable time frame going forward, there's gonna have to be a lot of collaboration between the governments and the to, like, this is what's happening with GPT-6. What the hell's gonna happen with GPT-6? What's gonna happen with GPT-6? Like, is there, I hope from what Anthropic said that we are getting some semblance of process put in place so that this can be expedited, but we just need to get
these things have to happen in parallel, and by the nature of the market, they already kind of are. We have the ass kissing, which OpenAI seems very well predicated and prepared to do. Sam is incredibly experienced in this and the nature of the weird board structure that already exists at OpenAI. He's very used to making things going on feel important and like they're part of the decision-making process. I would even guess this is part of why 5.6 is restricted. They could very easily have put it out and then waited for the government to restrict them and got a bunch of good free will. But instead, they let the government decide and letting you use performative, like, choose who has access to the government. The whole point of this is for the government to feel like they have the control. If the admin feel like they're here so that they can go do their thing. They need to do this all long enough to allow for people who actually understand to build better processes and systems that can be handed to the government. Look, you guys trust us now. Here's the solution to the problem. Please stop fucking with us. And I hope, pray, fingers crossed, that we can figure this out fast enough that Anthropic can make good safety systems and protocols that make sense for some type of enforcement. This thing all needs enough cash to hold us over and
yeah, and credit where it's due, Anthropic will probably make some really good safety stuff. Like they've been focused on this for a very, very long time. It's really funny that Anthropic, the government went harder on AI safety than Anthropic. Like Anthropic was like, oh yeah, we gotta have all these regulations and make sure that it's super safe and we have all of these and we have safe models. And they did the safe model thing themselves and the government said, oh, and then basically take whatever Anthropic is doing and nationalize it and make it a new benchmark for every single one.
To be clear, the government said, I don't know if this thing that multiple open weight models can currently do is safe enough to have in a frontier model from $1 trillion company that was worth less than a tenth that much this time last year. So we're going to risk the entirety of our national economy in hopes of performing in a safe way. Just like if they hate the leftists that work at it.
I hate this so much. This is so stupid. Why are we have to just release the model, man? Please.
And in the end, as much as I hate the company having some ownership of algorithms being necessary, I'd rather for a company that is 5% owned by America win than a company that's owned 100% by China.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's annoying that this is necessary, but it is part of it. And this is the thing that Anthropic has fucked up for a very long time. Dario is great at talking to AI researchers. He can communicate very, very well with them. He cannot communicate well with anyone else. And all this stuff happened, and they like brought this little exploit to them, quote unquote, this stupid scene. The government freaked out, and then when Anthropic was like, what are you talking about? You're stupid. This makes no sense. And then just ignored them. I don't think they ignored them for that long. They just like didn't instantly send 10,000 people over.
I just had a fun realization. If this 5% goes through and it is done in a way that's meant to be like citizen ownership where like we get a tax break or a payout or something, Sam Altman will now have real equity in OpenAI. And not only will Sam Altman have equity in OpenAI, Benjamin here and I, as well as our producer Alyssa, will all have the same equity in OpenAI that Sam Altman does. We're in.
This is so stupid. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be worth a lot of money, and it's going to be very well spent, I'm sure. I cannot wait.
What's 5% divided by 350 million?